Welcome to Biggest Spoilars, the destination for exclusive spoilers, latest updates.
The Bold and the Beautiful spoilers reveal an exercise clip has been released for the week of November 3, 2025. It shows Beth Spencer expostulating to a marriage guest. Sheila Carter Sharp insists on attending Hope Logan's marriage. Plus, Deke Sharp is furious with Remy Price for his unethical secrets and devious deception. Keep reading and let's talk about what's coming up in the CBS Cleaner pieces. Steffy Forrester Finnegan's congratulations. Let's launch from the morning. Steffy Forrester Finnegan and Ridge Forrester are in the exchange. The brunette congratulates Hope on her designs as well as her forthcoming marriage to Liam Spencer. While Hope does feel happy and smiles, the look on Daphne Rose's can't be ignored. That girl is over to commodity formerly again. Sheila Carter Sharp insists over with Deacon Sharp. He tells Sheila each about Lope getting wedded again. It seems that Deacon might know Sheila is wanted at the event. Still, the agitated waitress gushes about how Deacon is the father of the bridegroom, and she's his woman. So she's going. Beth Spencer's expostulation. The Bold and the Beautiful spoilers for the week of November 3 reveal that the exercise clip also shows Beth expostulating to a marriage guest. Scarified, Liam asks his son who she doesn't want at the marriage. The little girl tells her parents that it's Sheila. Deke Sharp educated over at Deke's apartment. He's reeling over chancing out about Remy's history. The youthful man knew that Remy was troubled before they met, but had no idea it was stalking and deep-faking. It complicates matters that Deke eventually has his dream job at Forrester Creations, and he finds out this after introducing his swain to everyone. This would have been helpful information for Deke to find out beforehand. Remy Price begs Deke is affrighted that Remy made Elector Forrester's life a living hell. The developer calls his nut crazed. Also, Remy cries and begs his nut not to judge him grounded on who he was. Indeed, though Remy might be a changed man now, that doesn't abolish the effects he did to others. At some point, Remy will have to earn redemption ever. Could that be through the Luna Nozawa baby plot? The air in the Forrester Creations main office was thick with a tension that had nothing to do with the upcoming fall line. It was a living, breathing entity, a pall of unspoken histories and simmering resentments that no amount of expensive perfume or designer cologne could mask. At the center of it all, for Remy, was the small, wriggling bundle of joy in his arms, his nephew, Deke. The baby's baptism was just hours away, an event meant to be a fresh start, a sacred washing away of the past and a blessing for the future. Remy looked down at Deke's peaceful, sleeping face, his heart swelling with a protective, ferocious love. He made a silent vow to the child, a promise that his life would be different, better, free from the shadows that seemed to cling to their family like Los Angeles smog. He looked so much like his mother, a soft voice said beside him. Remy turned to see Brooke Logan, her expression a complex mix of grandmotherly pride and a deep, enduring sadness. She reached out, her finger gently tracing the curve of Deke's cheek. He does, Remy agreed, his voice hushed. He has her eyes. He shifted the baby slightly. Today's a big day, little man. Your baptism. The start of a clean slate. No more drama, no more secrets. Just love. That's all you're going to know from here on out. He was speaking to the baby, but the words were as much for Brooke, for his sister, and for himself. They were the encouraging words he repeated like a mantra, a shield against the chaos that had defined their lives for so long. Brooke offered him a watery smile. It is a new beginning, Remy. A blessing. We'll all be there for him, surrounding him with love. He's going to have so many people guiding him, protecting him. Remy nodded, but a cold knot of unease tightened in his stomach. Protecting him from what, Brooke? From who? The past is the past. It's over. Brooke's gaze flickered away for a fraction of a second, a telltale sign that had haunted Remy since they were teenagers. It was the look she got when she was keeping a secret, when the weight of a truth was too heavy to bear but too dangerous to speak. The past has a way of echoing, Remy, she said carefully. Especially in this family. Before he could press her, the office door opened and his sister, Steffi, walked in. She looked radiant, a vision of maternal strength in a simple, elegant dress, her focus entirely on her son. She came over and took Deke from Remy's arms, cradling him close, inhaling his scent as if it were the only pure air left in the world. "Is everything ready for the church?" she asked, her voice a little too bright, a little too forced. "All set," Remy reassured her, pushing his unease aside. This was Steffi's day, Deke's day. He wouldn't let his own paranoia spoil it. "The font is prepared, the priest is waiting. It's just going to be family, a small, quiet ceremony. Just like you wanted." "Quiet," Steffi repeated with a hollow laugh. "Is anything ever quiet when it comes to us?" The question hung in the air, unanswered. The preparations continued, a flurry of activity designed to project an image of normalcy, of celebration. But beneath the surface, the undercurrents of tension were pulling them all toward an unseen vortex. The baptism itself, held in the serene, hallowed space of a small, sun-drenched chapel, was deceptively beautiful. The light streamed through the stained glass, painting the white walls in soft hues of gold and blue. Deke, dressed in a delicate, heirloom christening gown, was the picture of innocence as Steffi held him at the marble font. The priest, a gentle-faced man who seemed blissfully unaware of the family's tumultuous history, began the ancient rites. "We are gathered here today to welcome this child into the community of faith," the priest's voice echoed softly. "To cleanse him of original sin and to mark him as a beloved child of God." Remy stood as Deke's godfather, his hand resting reassuringly on Steffi's shoulder. He looked around at the small gathering. Brooke was dabbing at her eyes with a tissue. Ridge Forrester stood tall and stoic, a pillar of support. Hope and Liam held hands, their own complicated history momentarily set aside. Thomas was there, his expression unreadable. It looked, for all the world, like a family united in love and support. The encouraging words of the liturgy washed over him. "Receive the light of Christ. Live always as a child of the light." He wanted that for Deke more than anything. This was the baptism, not just of a child, but of a new era for their family. This was the moment they left the anger, the betrayals, the poisonous secrets behind. This was the beginning. As the priest poured the holy water over Deke's forehead, the baby let out a small, startled cry, then settled, his wide eyes looking up at the faces surrounding him. The ceremony concluded with prayers and blessings, a collective, if fragile, sigh of relief passing through the family. They had done it. They had navigated a milestone without drama. The plan was to return to Steffi's house for an intimate reception, a simple lunch, a cake, a celebration of this new, blessed chapter. The mood in the car ride over was lighter, the initial tension of the day beginning to dissipate, replaced by the genuine joy of the occasion. Steffi's home was filled with flowers and the soft murmur of quiet conversation. For a precious, fleeting hour, it worked. They were just a family, celebrating a baby. Remy watched Steffi laugh at something Liam said, a real, unburdened laugh that reached her eyes. He saw Brooke and Ridge share a look of quiet, proud grandparents. He allowed himself to believe his own mantra. The past is the past. It was Hope who inadvertently shattered the peace. She was cooing over Deke, who was now awake and alert in his mother's arms. "Oh, Steffi, he's just perfect," Hope said, her voice full of genuine warmth. "And you know, the more I look at him, the more I see it. It's incredible." "See what?" Steffi asked, her smile not quite reaching her eyes. "Well, it's silly, I suppose," Hope continued, oblivious to the sudden stillness that had fallen over Brooke and Ridge. "But he has that same determined little chin. And the shape of his eyes, it's so distinctive. It's a strong bloodline, that's for sure." Remy, standing nearby with a glass of champagne, felt a prickle of foreboding. "What are you talking about, Hope?" Hope looked up, a little surprised by the intensity in his tone. "The family resemblance, of course. I know we all focus on him looking like you, Steffi, but today, in that light, I can see his father so clearly." A silence, cold and absolute, descended upon the room. Steffi's face went pale. Brooke looked as if she'd been struck. Ridge's jaw tightened. Remy's blood ran cold. He knew who Hope was referring to. She was talking about Finn, Steffi's late husband, Deke's biological father. A good man, a doctor, tragically killed. A painful subject, but a known quantity. A part of their history they all mourned. But the reactions in the room were all wrong. This wasn't the quiet grief of a painful memory. This was the terror of a secret being unearthed. Hope, that's enough. Ridge's voice was a low, warning growl. But it was too late. The seed was planted. Remy's mind, a detective's mind honed by years of navigating the family's deceptions, began to race. He looked from Steffi's panicked face to Brooke's guilt-ridden one, to Ridge's defensive posture. The pieces of a puzzle he didn't even know he was trying to solve began to click into place with terrifying, sickening clarity. The timeline of Steffi's pregnancy. The whispered arguments he'd walked in on. The way Brooke had been so evasive, so desperate to protect Steffi, to keep the past buried. The strange, almost possessive concern Sheila Carter had shown from afar, a concern everyone had dismissed as her typical madness. Sheila Carter. The name exploded in his mind like a bomb. All the encouraging words from earlier, the promises of a clean slate, the blessings of a new beginning, crumbled to dust, replaced by a roaring, white-hot static in his ears. The baptism wasn't a cleansing, it was a grotesque farce. He took a step toward Steffi, his voice a low, dangerous whisper. Steffi. Look at me. She couldn't meet his gaze. She held Deke tighter, as if her embrace could shield him from the truth. Hope thinks she's talking about Finn, Remy said, each word measured and sharp as a scalpel. But she's not, is she? That's not the bloodline she's seeing. Brooke moved to intervene. Remy, please, not now. This is a celebration. Celebration, he roared, the sound tearing through the polite atmosphere of the reception. The angry threats he'd been holding back all day, the ones he thought were aimed at vague specters of the past, now had a specific, monstrous target. We are standing here, celebrating this child's future, while you've all been living a lie. A lie that puts him in unimaginable danger. He turned his furious gaze back to his sister. Tell me I'm wrong, Steffi. Tell me that Hope is just seeing things. Tell me that Deke's biological father is Finn. Tears streamed down Steffi's face. She opened her mouth, but no sound came out. Her silence was a confession more damning than any words. Remy felt the world tilt on its axis. The horror of it was so vast, so profound, it was physically nauseating. He stumbled back, bracing himself against the wall. It's him, Remy breathed, the truth a poison in his veins. It's Sheila's son. The name hung in the air, sucking all the oxygen from the room. Sheila Carter. The woman who was a synonym for obsession, manipulation, and violence. The woman who had shot his mother and his stepfather. The woman who was a permanent, malignant scar on their family's history. It was that night, wasn't it? Remy pressed, the details crashing down on him. After Finn, after we lost him. You were vulnerable, you were lost. And he was there. Jack. He spat the name like a curse. Sheila's son. My God, Steffi, how could you? How could you keep this from me? From everyone? The full, horrifying implication dawned on him. Deke, the child he held so dear, the child he had just vowed to protect, was not just his nephew. He was the grandson of Sheila Carter. His blood was tainted with her madness, her predatory instincts. The baptismal water had not washed that away, it was woven into his very DNA. The angry threats that now erupted from Remy were not empty. They were vows, forged in the fires of betrayal and terror. Do you have any idea what this means? He shouted, his voice trembling with rage and fear. That woman is a predator. A psychopath. And now she has a blood claim to this child. Do you think her obsession with our family was bad before? This is all she's ever wanted. A permanent, biological link. She will never, ever let him go. He pointed a shaking finger at Deke. You have put a target on his back that will never, ever come off. This isn't a secret you can just bury, Steffi. This is a time bomb. And it's ticking in that crib. Brooke tried to reason with him, her voice pleading. Remy, we knew you'd react this way. We were protecting you. We were protecting him. What good would it have done? Protecting him? Remy let out a bitter, broken laugh. You have done the exact opposite. By hiding this, you've made him vulnerable. Sheila will find out. A woman that cunning, that obsessed, will find out. And when she does, she will move heaven and earth to get to him. She will see him as hers. Her flesh and blood. Her legacy. He turned his scorching gaze back to Steffi. Every nanny you hire, every school you enroll him in, every playground you take him to, you will have to be looking over your shoulder for her. For the rest of his life. This is the hell you have chosen for him. The beautiful reception was now a war zone. The remnants of the baptismal cake sat on the table, a sickeningly sweet monument to their shattered illusion. The encouraging words of the priest were a distant, mocking echo. The only words that held any truth now were the ones dripping from Remy's lips, the angry threats of a future poisoned by the past. He looked at Deke, and his heart shattered into a million pieces. The love was still there, more fierce and desperate than ever. But it was now mingled with a horror so deep he could barely breathe. This innocent child was tied by blood to the monster who had tried to destroy their family. I made a vow to you today, little man, Remy whispered, his voice cracking. At your baptism. I promised to protect you. But my God, the enemy is in your blood. He turned and stormed out of the house, the door slamming shut behind him with a sound of finality. The baptism was over. The celebration was over. The fragile peace was annihilated. The true baptism had just begun, a violent, terrifying immersion into the cold, hard truth. And for Remy, the fight of his life had just been declared. He wasn't just fighting against an external threat anymore. He was fighting against a legacy, a bloodline, a secret that threatened to corrupt the one pure thing left in their world. The encouraging words were ashes. All that remained were the angry threats, and the chilling knowledge that the most dangerous threat of all was one that Deke carried within him.